Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Great to see you, and welcome to Game Changers, the lessons you never learned in school. I am your moderator, Ryan Ruff, and in just a moment, I'll be welcoming aboard my right-hand man, the star of our show, and the president and CEO of Mag 7 Consulting. That's Barry Garapedian, and we're going to be diving into some great conversations on this show. I'll save the topic of today for Barry, but really this show is all about diving into some of the key principles of success and achievement that we are not taught in schools, but what we can develop as our life goes on so that we can strengthen and reinforce some of the relationships in our lives. Boy, do we have a lot of great content coming for you here on this new show. We're so excited to be sitting down recording our inaugural episode today. But before we get into our great topic of the day, let's go and say hi. Go ahead and say hi to the man of the hour. Barry, it's great to see you this morning. How you doing?
It is absolutely my pleasure to be here, Ryan. Can't wait to get started.
Yeah, absolutely. We were sitting down talking about, hey, how do we want to kick off our show? And boy, do we land on a great topic that will, I think, resonate with so many people out there. Barry, why don't you frame up today's conversation for us? What is the topic that we're going to cover, and why would you say it's just so important these days?
I love starting with this topic because it's so important. It's the art of connection through astonishment. And you're saying astonishment? What's astonishment? It's making an impact, a giant impact in someone's life. And we're going to talk about techniques and ideas throughout this session.
Yeah, Barry, you personally have really resonated with this idea of astonishment. It's something that came to you at a young age. Why don't you tell me specifically about your personal connection with this idea of astonishment and how, why it's propelled you to where you are today?
Ryan, it started when I was 8 years old. I would ride my bicycle to the magic shop, and I wanted to be a professional magician. And I loved the impact that when I did a trick, a magic trick or whatever, the faces on the people. And that is astonishment. And that is why I got so involved in magic. And that's what I gotten so involved in connecting with people, because I wanted to have a reaction from them that I could actually have an aha moment. So it started very early. I can remember early in the morning riding my bike, going to the magic shop, sitting down, them showing me tricks, going home and practicing. And we would do recitals. We had a big family. We would always have a day where everyone's sharing their superpowers. Some people played the piano, some people did poems. I did magic. It was very cool.
I can imagine that was quite empowering at a young age to be able to share some of those tricks with the family, get the reactions that you really enjoyed. From a broad perspective, though, as we look at this word astonishment, why would you say it's so important for people in today's day and age to be considering, the importance of leveraging astonishment in their life? Why is it so important on a broad scale?
Most people don't do this. Most people just get from A to B in life. If I meet anyone, I'm thinking, how can I help them? How can I find a way to make an impact in their lives? So in my mind, it's, are they suffering? Where are their pain points? And if I can come up with a solution and develop a relationship with them and truly help them organically and not looking for reciprocity, Ryan, I'm not looking to get something back. I want to impact someone. So for me, that's how I built a multi-billion dollar business focusing on people. It starts with connections.
Barry, I know we had sat down talking about this topic ahead of pressing the record button today. I know there were these three specific factors of this topic of astonishment that we wanted to get into today. But before we do that, especially since we're sitting down here in our inaugural episode of Game Changers, why don't you update our audience or share a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do on a day-to-day basis with Mag 7 Consulting, and then we'll get back to the topic at hand.
Mag 7 has been going on for decades. When I was on Wall Street, I worked with our super wealthy clients' children, and I taught them things no one else was teaching them. They certainly weren't learning this stuff in schools. They weren't learning this stuff in churches. And in many cases, they weren't learning this stuff from their own parents. And what I did is I developed a relationship with the parents where they would never leave me. And they would send more assets. They would bring more introductions in. And we made such a significant impact with their children. It actually snowballed into what I'm doing right now. I'm focusing 100% of my energy working with kids between 15 and 27 and putting together formal deliverables of things that we're working on. One of the deliverables we work on is the art of connection. And I absolutely thoroughly enjoy giving them specific things they need to do, such as one is, as an example, is practice going first. I want them to be the first to initiate, the first to shake hands with someone, the first person that would say good morning or good afternoon, the first person in an elevator to ask everybody in an elevator, what floor, please? And they're pressing the buttons. I want them to show and demonstrate leadership, which then breeds confidence. And life, Ryan, as you know, is a confidence game. How can you get more confident? And that's a big deal with young minds between 15 and 27.
I love that. Thanks for bringing our audience up to speed. For those of you out there that may not be as familiar with Barry as, like, let's say myself am, Barry, let's get back to this idea of the art of connection. You had mentioned confidence. I would say confidence certainly does lead to connection, and of course, connection through astonishment being the topic of the day. But let's get into the three big factors that really are centered at the core of this art of connection through astonishment. What are these three? I know we'll double click into each one of them, but why don't you set the scene on these three big topics we want to hit today?
It starts with the first one, which is, in my mind, it's do what you say. In other words, execute. Can you execute? Can you actually do what you say? Most people can't. So we focus a lot on that. The second thing is pay it forward. Focus on helping other people. You might not get compensated immediately. It might be years. Give them collateral, give them information, help them. So paying it forward is a huge narrative. And the other one is organically making an impact as soon as possible in someone's life, meaning give value on the spot. A book, someone that you know, an article, someone, a doctor, whatever, help that person get to where they want, not where I want. It's always about the other person. It's about being more interested than interesting.
Yeah, Barry, I love these. Let's dig deep into that first one that you mentioned, and that's this idea of doing what you say. I mean, you say it's rare these days. I would certainly echo that point, but talk to me about what this means on a granular level and kind of the principles that you teach the individuals you work with at Mag 7 of what this idea of doing what you say really means.
Brian, I learned this from my father when I was in kindergarten. And we had four principles. Number one, do what you say. Number two, finish what you start. Say please and thank you. These are just a few, but again, it's well, actually, I forgot the first one. It's show up on time, do what you say, finish what you start, and say please and thank you. Just the art of being prompt and being on time. Unfortunately, most adults don't even do this. So it starts with having the reliability that people trust you if you're on time, you do what you say, you finish what you start, and say please and thank you. Not hard, but it is hard. And it started very, very early in my life when we were groomed as young kids from my father. Both my parents were teachers. So we come from an academic background, but this is a very basic tool that everyone should be getting into.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Barry. It speaks volumes when you do say please and thank you after a hard day's work or a great interaction with somebody. It can really resonate. And I know we're going to get into a lot more in our time together on this show of different ways to say please and thank you and all sorts of other just great lessons that you work with your young minds on. But let's move into that second thing you mentioned, Barry, and that's this idea of paying it forward. Double click into this for me for a moment, and what does paying it forward really look like to you?
It really comes down to taking the leap of faith of helping someone because it makes me feel good. I don't do it for reciprocity. I don't do it to try to get something from someone. So my theory and the consistency of my life is I get joy from helping people all the time. And I can think of many, many situations when I'm outside my comfort zone, which we'll get into, of doing really hard things to even grow quicker and faster. But it really does come down to pay it forward. And more importantly, having the faith in people. Remember, COVID was 3 years. We were somewhat secluded. It's great to get out with people in groups and help other people and be of service.
Yeah, and paying it forward. I mean, there's that whole likability factor that comes into play, and the number of meaningful relationships that you can really grow in your life is substantial when paying it forward. I couldn't agree more. It's a great principle. That third one, though, that you mentioned is a little softer, but I'd love to dig into it as well. And that is this idea of organically making a real impact in someone's life. Talk to me a little more about this one. I know you and your team, you had these conversations surrounding wellness and fitness with the young minds that you work with, just as an example. But talk to me about what you mean about organically really making an impact in
Well,
someone's
it
life.
starts with having a true interest in a person. So it starts with understanding what their name is. So many times people don't even hear the name. So one, have the intention to hear the name and to incorporate what's important in their life. And then from that particular game plan is what can you do to integrate to become likable and potentially carry that relationship to the next level. So there's many, many ways to do that. But I like to mirror people and understand where they are. And if that person is worthy of going the next step and helping them, I will invest more of my energy and foster how we can connect. And connecting is really the game, whether it's fitness, whether it's academics, whether it's books, whether it's helping their kids, whether it's with wellness. There's such a huge table of contents I could draw from and actually say, here's an idea that will make you even better. As an example, do you have goals? Most people don't have goals. Hey, I have a better idea. Let's do a vision board. Let's take your goals and put them into imagery, and let's put them on your wallpaper on your phone like this, so you can see them every day. That could be a real easy thing to do with someone, and they'll do it. And I have many people doing that I just meet. Look what I did. They show me what their images are on their phone. That's just one little micro piece that's an impact to their life of their vision of where they want to be. You don't know, you want to get there, but you don't even know how to get there because you don't know where you want to be. I'm going to help you formulate a strategy with images, and we can do it real simple and we'll have fun. You have a week to do it. I expect a call from you by next Friday. That's how it rolls.
I love it, Barry. I think about some of the most meaningful relationships in my life, and each and every one of them, whether it's a friend, a colleague, a mentor, a family member, even, all of those relationships are as strong as they are because of profound impact that we've made in each other's lives. So I love that it's making an organic impact in somebody's life, paying it forward, and this idea of doing what you say. Those three baked together, boy, can they truly astonish somebody in today's day and age. And Barry, just the other day, we were sitting down talking, and you told me a really interesting story from your past, a story of being in a kitchen. I'd love for you to share that because, boy, does it speak to this idea of authenticity.
I was in a fraternity house in college. I went to USC, and you'd never think of where you would get one of the most seminal relationships or introductions in your life. I was in the kitchen doing dishes as a pledge. Think of this. Imagine a hose coming down from the ceiling. I'm spraying dishes, tomato sauce everywhere. I have an apron. I'm soaking wet. The kitchen smells horrible. And my role was the head chef. I wanted to befriend her. What can I do to help you? What can I do? So I did all the dirty work, but I got to be friends with the chef, the head cook in the fraternity. There's 100 guys out there. She liked me, and she gave me one introduction, Ryan, that changed my life. She introduced me to a world-class magician I took lessons from for 3 years, close-up magic. His name was Larry Duguay. And he springboarded me into a world I never was into. And to this day, I'm doing high-end underground magic for dinner parties for all our clients. And that one introduction would have never happened unless I paid it forward and helped her with whatever I needed to do. But it happened as a sophomore in college. I had many, many other introductions, but it happened in the kitchen. Out of all places, who would have thought
Yeah,
that
I
would have
love
happened?
that story for so many reasons. I mean, in a kitchen, in a fraternity house is one of the last places, especially as a college age student, would ever think that they would generate a relationship that would, like you mentioned, change their life. I mean, it's a great story that speaks to the idea of paying it forward, one of those, those three factors you mentioned a moment ago. And look at what it did for you by paying it forward, doing the dirty work for the chef. Just funny how life works out that way, but it does, you know? So, Barry, we've talked about a lot. We've thrown a lot at our audience today. If you were to bottom line it for our audience and give them some key takeaways, I know in episodes come in, in the future, we're going to dive granularly into some of your core concepts that you work with a lot of the young minds at Mag 7 Consulting with. But for today's conversation, this idea of the art of connection through astonishment, what would be your bottom line, those key takeaways you'd want the audience to leave with?
The bottom line, Ryan, it's not about you. It's about the other person. It's about being more interested than interesting and make them the most important person in the room. If you do that, the energy will come back and serve you better than you ever thought and you could ever imagine. It's not about you, it's about the other person and taking an interest in what can you do to help that person. That is the bottom line. And that's how I built $1 billion business with people.
I love that, Barry. Really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule to jump into these foundations and these concepts that really define this idea of astonishing somebody. Barry, for those that might even be familiar with you, are new to the show, or maybe they aren't familiar with you and your work at Mag 7 Consulting yet, and are interested in learning more, what is the best way somebody could look you up online, connect with you, maybe even open up a dialogue? How can somebody find you?
Real simple. You can email me at Barry at mag, the number 7 consultants.com, or you can call me on my phone, which is 818-427-6109. And I'd love to chat with you more about this. There's many, many ways to do this, but this is a proof of concept. This works.
I love it, Barry. And of course, folks, we're going to be rolling out additional great episodes like these and content on Barry's social media. So be sure to follow him on all those platforms. But Barry, thanks again for your time today. I appreciate you. I know you got clients to serve, so we'll let you get back to doing that. But I'll see you back here on the next one.
I am very grateful, Ryan. Thank you.
Of course, of course. And folks, we want to take one final moment here of our show and thank you all for stopping by and carving some time out of your day, spending a moment with us here on Game Changers. If you learned a thing or two today from Barry's discussion surrounding this idea of leveraging astonishment to create, to enhance an art of connection with somebody, you learned a thing or two, make sure you hit the subscribe button on whichever platform you checked us out on today so that you don't miss out on other great conversations like these. Each and every episode where Barry and I get together, we're going to be exploring these different key principles of achievement and pathways to success that Barry leverages for his young minds that he works with at Mag 7 Consulting. So we've got great ideas, great concepts that are going to be coming to you in each and every episode, and we hate to have you miss out on any of those. Before Barry, I'm Ryan. We're going to go ahead and say so long today, but we appreciate you stopping by and being with us on Game Changers.